On this episode of Growth and Diversity, join me, Shawn Davis, co founder of Brown Davis Executive Search and the host of the Growth and Diversity podcast, as we explore a different topic in diversity. How about diversity and strengths, especially when it comes to teams? Hello, everyone. Shawn Davis here, co founder of Brown Davis Executive Search and the host of your Growth and Diversity podcast and platform to elevate the discussion of diversity in the insurance and insurtech industry. I wanted to explore a little bit of a different topic today, and hence why I'm by myself. A little bit of almost a random episode or a random thought. Recently, I've had a lot of interesting discussions around diversity and teams, and just kind of give you some reference. We're in mid February right now, and so a lot of folks are having that either team building session. They've launched the year, they kicked off their goals, they're marching forward into 2024, or they're starting to think about, okay, hey, my bonuses are going to be paid in February or March. What does my next career move look like? And so we're having just a ton of different conversations with folks on different capacities of how do I build the team? Do I have the right team? Would I keep the team that I have in order to reach my goals? Or personally, am I in the right career position in order to continue my journey and reach my goals that way? And some of this comes around one of the questions that we'll typically ask is, what are your strengths? What are you really good at? And then another way to ask that is also, what gives you energy? You may be really good at something, but it may not give you energy. And then trying to figure out if that is going to support each other or not. But this gave me a thought when I was back in my prior life, again, as an insurance executive for 16 years. One of the teams that I was on, it was this executive leadership team. And I thought it was a really great example of how to analyze the diversity of a team, but looking at strengths. Then you can look at the opposite of that and say, okay, also analyze what are the weaknesses. But on this side, it focused on strengths. Now, this is not a paid advertisement for Clifton Strengths Finders or anything like that. I do have the book here. Great book. If you haven't done their survey, their assessment online, or read this book, either for yourself to just know yourself, have greater self-awareness of your own abilities and your own strengths to continue your career growth and professional development, I highly suggest that. But also from a team standpoint, this is really the highlight of I think one of the executive teams that I was on. We actually brought them in, and every person on this executive leadership team, so is almost, I think, the direct reports of the CEO and maybe one level below that. We all took the Strength Finders assessment, and then they built a matrix of that across that team. And I think it was probably 14 to 16 individuals on that team, and it really opened my eyes to not only this is the first time that I took Strength Finders, and what are my natural strengths as an individual, as a leader, but also what are the strengths of those around me. And the whole goal with this was how do you be part of a team and part of an organization, especially when you're leading. You're driving transformation. We hear that word a ton. You're driving transformation. We truly were in this organization. We're driving transformation. This executive leadership team was working on the strategic initiatives that were going to catapult the organizations for the next 3 to 5 years. So we were all in the room owning that strategy and those outcomes for what the rest of the organization, roughly about 2,000 people, were going to be working on. It's a huge responsibility, but then also understanding, hey, where are your strengths as a leader and again as an individual, but in this room of 14 to 16 other leaders, you had to have that balance. And so it wasn't just you had a room full of people that had, okay, hey, these folks are highly empathetic, or these folks are highly competitive, or anything like that. It was we put a matrix together of all the different leaders in that organization and had this grid in front of us. So as we're holding our strategic meetings and talking about, um, hey, what plan? How are we going to achieve the growth that we want to achieve? Do we have the right people on the bus in the right seats? All those types of conversations. We could also be very aware, and I think this is the key of one of the topics of diversity is aware, and not just self-awareness, but maybe team and organizational awareness. Be aware of the people that you're also working with and what their strengths are. So, as an example, my number one strengths, and again, using strength finders, is competitive. I'm highly competitive. Um, and so I need to understand that for myself, and how that may drive the conversation that's going to give me energy around achieving organizational goals. But empathy doesn't show up for me until later. It's a later stage strength for me. But there were others in the room that was their number one or number two. And so again, as we're either going into cohorts and we're working on parts of the strategy, or just breaking off into teams, it was good to align with other folks that could balance that conversation, that could balance your strengths to get to a better spot than, again, just what you think or what you may surround yourself with, like others, like yourself, in order to achieve those goals, or to put a plan together, or put that strategy together. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this episode of Growth and Diversity Podcast. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Mostra Coffee. That's MOSTRACOFFEE.com. Go to mostracoffee.com. Check out this woman, minority, veteran, immigrant-owned micro coffee roaster out of North County, San Diego. They have amazing coffee. We're addicted to it. We've been drinking it for years in our house, and I hope you get to enjoy it in yours. There's a coupon code. As being a part of the Growth and Diversity Podcast listening audience, you can enter Brown Davis 10 and the coupon code once you go to checkout, and you'll receive 10% off. So this was really eye-opening to me. Probably it was probably 13 years into my career on the corporate side. And it just really opened my eyes to, wow, if you look at this executive leadership team, and these are highly successful executives in this organization, vice presidents, senior vice presidents, executive vice presidents, our CEO, our CFO, our chief investment officer, our chief accounting officer, our chief risk officer, all these folks are part of the same team, and they all have their strengths there. And we were all different, but we were trying to come together as a team and as an organization, as one. You'll often hear that, I think, in corporate speak, as being one to achieve the organization's strategic goals and objectives. And so it was really unique and really eye opening for me, in order to see that, to witness that, and then to use that tool, of that matrix, to use the tool of the Strengths Finder. And again, not a paid endorsement. I paid for this out of my own money. Hopefully one day maybe we can actually have Gallup, who provides this. We can have a person from that organization come onto the podcast, onto Growth and Diversity, and really talk about this in broader context. But I think just being able to use a solution like this, a tool like this, and put it to practical use. And I think that's always the challenge that I have is, with maybe even podcasts out there that I listen to or something, they'll kind of talk about something surface level, and it's a great idea. It seems like a great concept, but how do you actually put it into practice? And I think that's what my goal is with this one, is you can actually use this, not just to know yourself better. I mean, point in fact, my daughter just took this, and she's a junior in high school. She's part of a leadership development program for the American Heart Association. She just took this. So there's many uses for this tool, this resource, this assessment, to find out your strengths. But from a team standpoint, when you talk about diversity and what diversity can do for your organization, for your growth, again, growth and diversity, I think it's pretty amazing and quite eye-opening to me. I'm a visual learner, to see it on a piece of paper in front of me, 14 to 16 executives in the room, highly experienced, highly accomplished, great people, but so different. And if we could leverage the talents and strengths of each other, gosh, what could we accomplish, and what could we help this organization do and become? So that's the random show for today. I wanted to share that with you. It was a random thought I had after having all these conversations, again, to kind of begin the year, as we're talking to executives, we're talking to organizations, you're building teams. What are you missing? What are you looking for? What's the gap you need to fill as an individual? What are your strengths? What gives you energy? What do you want to go do? And this just really stood out to me as probably one of the best corporate exercises that I did in this organization, and creating awareness, again, not just for myself. It was very eye opening for myself and my self awareness and my own development and learning, but also I think the development and the growth of that team, of where we could go if we worked together, but appreciated and acknowledge the strengths of others and how they were different than your own. And that to me is where growth and diversity comes from. So thanks everyone for listening in. If you have any questions on this, if you want to chat about this, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, on email, any of the social platforms. But that's today's episode for Growth and Diversity. I'm Shawn Davis. Have a great day.